You know, I'm always honest with you, and therefore I can tell you that the Audi Q3 so far was not really my favorite Audi SUV, although it was for sure a good car. But now, with the all-new generation, will this change my mind? Of course, we'll experience that together in exterior, interior, and what we can also expect from the driving experience, all the technical details. Here in turbo blue, by the way, this is already my favorite color, I can tell you. But soon more to show you in Full HD, full screen and full length. Autogefühl, your number one resource for in-depth car reviews and your number one community to discuss cars. Let's go. In this all-new generation of the Q3, you see a really totally different front. It is stronger from the single-frame grille, also has those vertical lines right here. A very sporty appearance too, because we have the S-line here today, also with some contrast then to the bright blue color. It also comes standard with LED headlights, but then you can get different trims. For example, if you pick the high beam also with LED or not. And you can already see those very spectacular LED daytime running lights. Here is what we can usually now see from the smaller new Audi models, that they are a little bit more daring in the design. And I think it's a good direction to step away from some more boring models. This one here definitely attracts a lot of attention. 4.48 meters or 14'7" is the length. And this means 10 centimeters longer than their predecessor, so that's actually quite a noticeable gain, and 8 centimeters of that is the new wheelbase. Will that leave us more room in the interior? We'll soon find out together. Exterior design-wise, in the side profile you can see that the main element is right here, this design line that stresses the front wheel arch, and then again is continuing here at the rear part, stressing the rear wheel arch and also stressing this shoulder line. Rim sizes start at 17-inch up to 20-inch, and those ones we can see here right now, pretty massive, but of course you always have to check out that you do not damage them so easily then. Then this lower part here you can also get in a contrast color. You can see it right here, and this is basically a new mix between, usually we can see cars where you can pick either the vehicle color or then the normal black plastic. And this one here now with the painted black is a mix in between, and I think an elegant approach where you can still see some of this crossover SUV DNA. Here again the S-line also with a stronger side bumper. So what do you think about the new design of the Q3? Do you like it? The rear is not that revolutionary as in the front, and you also can see that it's one of those MQB cars, to be very precise, MQB A2. So this one here is a sibling of the Volkswagen Tiguan and the Skoda Kodiaq, so one of the bigger MQB SUVs, this so-called platform. And so you have still this rather classic top part and lower part, then with the contrast here again and with the S-line. I wouldn't call them fake exhaust, because I think they do not even pretend to be fake exhaust anymore, rather just a whole design element. And then I've also activated the turning indicators in this cascading style. And you have different packages, as I said earlier, from the lights. LED headlamps in the front is standard, but then you can go for matrix LED, for example, for the high beam. And then it also depends what you get in the rear. So the normal LED daytime running light, as it is here right now, comes as standard. And then in the second trim already you get this cascading turning indicators also for the LED lamps. And now let's get inside. Pretty solid door handles and a nice closing sound. You sometimes have to push it a little bit harder because the interior is so well insulated that you have to move the air away. And we'll tell you more about insulation soon on the interior then. Then let's start at the inside of the doors. This top part here is basically hard touch, hard plastic. And then this part here is then soft leatherette, and also you can use a lot of Alcantara packages, for example here for your elbow. It's a nice pick to make it a little bit cozier on the inside. Good quality also from the knobs here. They also have a clicking sound just for the windows. Pretty decent. Then also have some room for bigger bottles. That would be important if you want to use those. You can also open the trunk hatch from here. Then the S-Line logo there too, but you can also pick between the S-Line or an interior. You do not have to combine it nowadays. You can also just mix it around now. Rest of the interior also with the S-Line with the steering wheel, pretty compact shape. And then you can also have different decor elements. First of all, on top here, this is also an Alcantara in gray. I will soon also show you a different color for this part. And then also with piano lacquer right there. This one collects some dust and hopefully not scratches, but you can also get some alternatives. Then very interesting, this new seat has been totally reworked. There's a fabric on the inside which keeps you warm in winter times and cold in summer times. Then the outside, some parts are Alcantara and some parts are leatherette. For example, the head restraint and also this part here. And then some minor parts are from animal skin and you cannot really tell the difference. I mean, this one is leatherette, this one is the real leather, and who would know that? You just have to know it before. And Audi really reduced the use of leather because they also want to change, especially for their smaller models, philosophy-wise, which is, I think, a very good direction they're stepping there. Then let's get inside. It's a very easy entry, and indeed it feels more grown up, a little bit bigger than with the previous generation Q3. I really like that. Also, the seats offer a very good seating comfort, and I also feel that the fabric is very durable, but at the same time gives you a lot of air because it has some kind of rough surface, but in a good way. Steering wheel, the manual adjustment here, it goes very far. I really think that is the steering wheel also from the Audi Q5, and the Q3 really moved now a little bit closer to the Q5, also how you feel it from the interior. We have an electric seat set up here, which is optional. You can easily control everything here then, also with an electric lumbar support. And then the front part of the seat can be made longer for taller people. That's also a good choice. And you get a very good quality impression, and soon more about those infotainment systems because they again connect to the upper segments we have recently shown you with the A7 and the A8. Headroom-wise, I'm 1.86 m or 6'1". If you're not subscribed, otherwise you know it. Sorry for mentioning it always, but some are first-time viewers, and then they should know to really rate. And wow, that's a lot of headroom left. If you put a panoramic roof in, the headroom will be reduced. But here I got a lot of headroom left, so also pretty spacious here also in the interior. So I can easily move the seat a little bit further up to have maybe more upright seating position, and still have a lot of headroom left. So this will be a quite relaxing ride in this one. Now the interior overview. Top part here is a little soft touch, horizontal lines right there. And I really like the Alcantara approach here. Pretty interesting feature. And then here also with some matte aluminum style. This infotainment system is being carried over from the upper segments as well. You have different setups. You start on the left side with 10.25 inch, so a little smaller digital instrument, but only digital. And on the right side, you start with 8.8, and then you can upgrade it to this one here, 10.1 inch. And then also on the left side, you get the full Audi virtual cockpit with 12.3 inch. Soon more details to controlling those systems. In the lower part, you can see you have still the classic knobs here for the climate. I really liked it because while driving, it's just easier to control that with this nice metal knurling around, high quality use. And then if we go even further below, you have, for example, the drive select, still a button for that, and then you can pick it up there in the menu. And the automatic gearbox then is combined with the bigger engines. Usually you can also pick it. This one here then also with all-wheel drive when you have the bigger engines that are always combined with the all-wheel drive. The infotainment system here, then with touch of course, telephone via Bluetooth or with the cable, then with the phone apps, for example with the Apple CarPlay. Let's take a look at the GPS. I sometimes have the feeling I have to press a little bit harder on the screen, by the way. Here, wow, same CPU unit as in the A7 or in the A8, so pretty fast, and wow, what a resolution. That's really cool. And let's also take a look at the rear view camera here in our studio, which is pretty impressive. Also a good resolution, and you can also have this fake drone view from above. You can also have it just as a graphic. So some settings there to control, and there you can change it around, have this fake view from above, or to the rims right and left, that you can protect those precious 20-inch. This virtual cockpit, you can also have the satellite view. It's so cool, it's maybe sometimes even distracting. Then you can change the view, have just a bigger RPM and a bigger speed. When you go for the base digital cockpit, you will not have so many features to show on, so you have to bear that in mind. It is also, again, an optional feature. Traffic sign control, new driver assistance we have here, also all upgraded with traffic jam assist with the adaptive cruise control that is available. This is, of course, not a real consumption figure, just moving here in the studio. But overall, very clear to read everything. I think they are also leading in the digital cockpit segment. Interesting, by the way, here. You see here this handle from a door from the inside. Usually it would be the other way around. In this case, they just said, hey, let's do it like this. So I like that they did some, something different here. And also, it's maybe even more natural, because when you grab it like this, it also works. And you can also do it then with the right hand. As Brian recently told you, there's also a saying that when you always do it with the right hand here, you easier make the shoulder view to approaching cyclists and stuff. Lower part here still with a separate volume knob, but you can also control it at the steering wheel. But maybe when you turn it up as a driver and your co-driver says, it's too loud, and then turns it down again. For example, with the optional 15-speaker Bang & Olufsen sound system. Then they found a compromise between the classic USB and the USB-C, because they offer both now in this vehicle. I think a quite interesting approach. And in the lower part here, electric handbrake, and then the cup holders are adaptive. I just like this system because it catches different bottle sizes. Pretty cool. Then fix the attached armrest, the nice leatherette cover, and also decent room underneath. One nice detail, a frameless rear mirror. Always looks classy. And now in the rear, we have the same styling here with fabric on the inside and then leatherette parts on the outside. I think on the rear they use more leatherette than in the front. And you will also be able to get, for example, Alcantara for the inside of the seats, and also full fabric seats as well. Hey, that has improved now, because the car is longer than the predecessor, and now I don't have any problems here with the rear legroom. Still some left in front of my knees, also because I have those gaps at the back part of the seats. And the trick is also you can move the rear bench 15 centimeters front and back. And this happens in a 2/3, 1/3 split. Here, of course, I wouldn't just leave it in the rear. I can also show you that with the other part of the seat here. A little bit harder to do, of course, with one hand. Here, like this. So this is really a massive difference. So you can gain more trunk. We'll soon take a look at that. Or then again, more legroom. And then there's this strap board here. This one here. And when you pull it, whoa. Either it flips directly. That came quite quickly, right? Live on tape. But when you sit here, then it's easier, because then it easily comes towards you and you can change it like this, maybe to have more trunk, or just to sit more upright, or if you want to relax a little bit more, put it more in the back. That's actually quite versatile. Good to have that one. And finally, the armrest could go down a little bit more with adaptive cup holders. That's maybe good for smaller drinks as well, and that they're also kept tight for the kids. And in the very lower part there, we have got 2 USB sockets, standard ones. Also, you have gained some more headroom right there. So even very tall people here, which are even taller than 190 or 6'2", will have no problem here in the rear. And let's open the rear hatch. There's also a foot opening mechanism available if you want to order that option. Other than that, use the key, or then also use just the button. You can see here, you can save different positions here. And this one is actually, wow, quite high. I can stand below that. That's quite seldom. And then if you want to save a different position, for example, for your basement garage, just hold this button for some men. There. And then you hear that sound. Then it's really safe to this position. So you can also push it up again and then save it in the highest position. So the one that you prefer then. So this new trunk has a little bit more room, starting in the volume with 530 liters, as it is right here. Also with a nice aluminum cover. Below here we have, for example, some sound system stuff. And then you have a lot of different variations. Well, you cannot flip the seats from here. That is one downside. You have one 12-volt power socket at least. But then you can do different things. For example, when you want to have it to 675 liters, you can push the rear bench forward, for example, like this. Also do the same with the other side, then you gain more in length. And then you can also flip those seats, but for this action it's then again better again to push them back once more, because then they go all flat, like this, and they are also fixed in a low position then, like this. You have an almost even surface, and when you do it all the way around, you can also do it on the other side, you will have a maximum loading volume of 1,525 liters. And I think you can, wow, that single one really flips very fast, right, again. So here we go, and I think that's overall very well usable. And one interesting thing is, you can also put this lower cover up, and it's being held there on left and the right, very interesting. And I removed the top cover, and when you then also remove those side panels right there, and put them wherever, then you can also store the top cover of the trunk here in the lower area, like this. And it's clean and safe, and you don't have to, put it behind the seats or something. Pretty useful solution. Engines, diesel and petrol, all with particle filters, starting with the 1.5 liter TSI. That one then with 150 horsepower, all 4 cylinders by the way also. Then there's a 2 liter TSI with 190 horsepower, or the top grade then with 230 horsepower. The entry model also has front wheel drive. All 2 liter engines have the all-wheel drive, but that one is basically front plus rear on demand. And then there's a 2 liter diesel with 150 or 190 horsepower. Interesting also suspension-wise, you get 3 different ones: a base one, a sport suspension, and an adaptive suspension as a top trim. And the sport suspension is included in the S-Line package, also with 20-inch rims. And to show you a different color, here in silver, and usually I'm not a friend of silver cars because they're driving just everywhere, especially in Europe, and they're not something special, but I'm not exactly sure why. But this one here, this silver nuance, and for this very vehicle, somehow looks super fancy. Or what do you think? And silver in the rear, you can see this is not really a revolution here in the rear. You could also mistake it maybe for the old model, whereas the front is really very different. And we've also maybe seen that we have some different rims than with the blue car here. This one also a nice style, also 20-inch rims. And another styling element here for the interior. This is also very interesting. Hardly seen that one here, this bright Alcantara then in contrast to dark tones. Also, for example, then, not only top of the dashboard, also inside of the doors, sides of the seats. I think, again, a very interesting approach. And as we've recently also seen with the Audi A1, Audi seems to take more daring approaches now also in the styling. Again, all optional. You also can always keep it rather subtle. And now to our conclusion for today, all new generation of the Audi Q3. I told you initially that I wasn't super happy with the Q3, how it was before. Well, now actually I am, because if you asked me before between Q3 and Q5, I would always have gone for the Q5. But now in those new generations, if you compare it then, this Q3 is, appears more agile, more dynamic, also fresher than the Q5, whereas the Q5 is rather conservative in the styling. You do not have so much less room in here, so you also have especially more room in the rear parts now, as it is just a little bit longer, but it will still be quite agile to drive. Well, the big differentiation to the Q5 would then be that this one then has 3 different suspension, adaptive one and so on, but the Q5 has the air suspension. That one is the big difference then. And of course the size on the exterior. But here we got a lot of nice new solutions also for the interior, reduce of leather use, particle filters also for the petrol engines. So I think they have taken a lot of good steps with this vehicle, and also to offer something just different So styling exterior, interior is fitting, room we have on the interior. Definitely one of the hot tips for the very premium segment here for the compact SUVs. What do you think? Leave me your comments right there, and also see you next time.